So, in a week where there is already no shortage of spectacular college football storylines, and I mean, especially when we look forward to the games this weekend, whether we're talking Alabama, Auburn, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, or Ohio State, Michigan, there's plenty to talk about. But we start off this Monday with a crazy report per Sam Spiegelman that former five-star corner Eli Ricks has entered his name into the transfer portal, and we need to talk about it. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you surprised that Ricks has entered his name into the transfer portal? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification because I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, though they may seem small, are really massive to content creators such as myself, and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all of that being said, let's hop into this and let's go back to when Ricks was coming out of high school because he hailed from one of the nation's top high schools, IMG Academy, an institution synonymous with incredibly successful college athletes and high school athletes alike. Ultimately, he chose to go with LSU, a program that has been absolutely akin to successful DB play. LSU had earned the name DBU for a reason. I mean, for as long as we can remember, LSU has had quality cornerbacks, and that's kind of been a constant with the university. A team that is always talented. But one thing I can always remember about LSU is even though the entire team was so talented, their defensive back play has been stellar for quite some time. So people aren't really surprised when you see a Eli Ricks go to LSU with Corey Raymond because they've been successful at what they do. I mean, just before that, Derek Stingley was setting the world on fire. And so when you pair Derek Stingley and Eli Ricks' freshman year, LSU fans everywhere are incredibly excited, and college football fans in general are watching that, and their interest is piqued. And everything that they showed was just confirming what a high upside Ricks had. I mean, his freshman year, he was really, really good, and he was just showing everybody, man, this is a really special talent, someone who could continue growing and become a force to be reckoned with on the defensive side of the ball because he was already trending towards that as a freshman. Fast forward to this year, the sophomore year, and craziness is surrounding LSU from every angle. Early on in the season, it becomes very apparent that Edo is probably on the hot seat when he starts off this season with a loss to UCLA, in which not only did the Tigers lose, the Tigers got flat out dominated at the line of scrimmage, and that's supposed to be Coach O's calling card. And if your calling card is the line of scrimmage play and you get dominated, while that's your calling card, that's never a good look. It's a worse look when you walk into the stadium saying, yeah, bring your sissy blue shirt down here, as that blue kicked your butt all over the field. So Coach O made his own bed. And now as we fast forwarded through the year and he's no longer going to be the coach moving forward, it's only added into the chaos around LSU. And so when we look today and see Eli Ricks transferring from Louisiana State University, I'm both surprised and not surprised. I'm surprised because LSU is still a place where I don't think anybody in college football expects them to fall off. We know what LSU is. Louisiana is one of the best places in all of the nation for high school football when you look at the talent that is in that state. And so when you're looking at the LSU job, you kind of have an understanding that if they get the right name in there, they can really galvanize this program, which isn't hard to do with the level of buy-in LSU already has. This could be a really, really interesting hire. And so I think a lot of eyes are watching LSU in particular. Now with Dan Mullen gone at Florida, that adds in a bit more intrigue when we look at the coaching carousel this year, whether it be USC, LSU, or Florida. But LSU is in a bit of a unique position because USC, certainly California, has incredibly talented football programs. Certainly Florida, they have incredibly talented football programs, an incredibly fertile recruiting ground in both those states, but you're competing with other entities. For Florida, you have Florida State, you have Miami. For California, you have all those other schools, plus every other distraction that people go to while in California. Whereas when you look at LSU, LSU is a bit uniquely positioned because the football program is the singular focus, and so you can really galvanize it. However, this unsurprising thing is when you look at all the chaos and the uncertainty facing LSU, I wasn't incredibly surprised to see his name enter into the transfer portal. Even though LSU is synonymous with quality DB play, an individual such as Ricks, if he goes somewhere, he's going to be just fine. He does have that ability, and certainly I'm not one to say that development doesn't matter. Development is paramount. he's just an individual that when I think he's going to look at his list of options, I don't think there's going to be a bad option, right? In theory, if we look at the universities that are going to be chasing this young man, they're all going to be able to coach the DB position. And so when you look at it like that, he might be trying to get away from a chaotic situation that doesn't have a clear sight line as to where it will go. And that's why it's incredibly important that LSU find a quality coaching hire sooner rather than later to put some things at ease, to continue recruiting as much as you can. And that's going to be big because the first National Signing Day is right around the corner. And so the transfer portal exists now. We've seen it be utilized by LSU players this year. Now we just see Eli Ricks using it, a very talented corner, someone you really did not want to lose, especially with the prospect of Derek Stingley heading to the NFL draft this year. LSU fans could at least look at that secondary and think for next year, okay, we can get a new coach, we can kind of hit the reset button, but we have Eli Ricks as a secondary, and he's going to be a leader in that secondary, and because of that, we feel pretty good. But now that's not there. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what LSU does moving forward. Now, make no mistake, I'm not saying this to say I think LSU is going to fall off. I think I made that very apparent throughout this video whenever you look at the factors surrounding LSU, and they're still an incredibly talented team. But what we cannot deny is the chaos that has just surrounded the program over the past year and a half, and it cannot be easy to exist in that chaos, especially when you have all of that chaos and now you take the head out of it. And now there's uncertainty as to what direction this program will go. We think it's going to be just fine when you look at all the contributing factors. It's just right now you're mixing a chaotic situation and now making it an uncertain situation, which is probably not a good thing for players. So I'm really interested in hearing from y'all. First and foremost, where do you think Eli Ricks could go? I think every institution in the nation is going to be chomping at the bit to try and get this kid because he is that talented. And secondly, are you surprised that he's transferred? This is a massive name in the transfer portal. In fact, to this point in the season, probably the biggest name in the transfer portal. And he's someone I cannot wait to see how this goes down. I mean, this is going to be a ton of fun to watch. So hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.